our studios in Abuja, Nigeria, hello and welcome to News Bits. I am Oluchi Madu. We have a new name now, and that's ITI, Internet Television International. And in the news today, another crisis rocks Jos. Finance Ministry discusses debts, and London court slams jail verdict on Ibori's sister and associates. These and more coming shortly. The Minister of Finance, Dr. Olusegun Ogonga, says Nigeria's foreign debt as at March 2010 stood at $4.3 billion, up from $3.63 trillion in 2009, while domestic debt is now 3.4 trillion naira, about 1.2 trillion naira short of the country's 2010 budget of 4.6 trillion naira. Ogonga spoke in Abuja at a workshop on the processes and procedure for obtaining foreign and local loans by federal, state and local governments in Nigeria. The ad hoc committee of the House of Representatives, in conjunction with the Federal Ministry of Finance, the Central Bank of Nigeria, Debt Management Office, Securities and Exchange Commission and the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation, organized the event. Our correspondent Rachel Uwa completes the story.
Speaking on the topic, government policy on debt management in Nigeria, Ogonga argued that borrowing the country was still manageable compared to the situation in other countries. For instance, he said that Nigeria's debt to gross domestic product ratio was only 14%, which was comfortably below the 40% threshold for countries in the development category as set by international finance management institutions. The minister pointed out that although the federal government has put in place policies to regulate foreign and domestic loans, more still needs to be done in the area of monitoring.
I appreciate that effective monitoring is necessary to complement due process, and one of my priorities is to strengthen the monitoring framework and mechanism.
Also speaking, Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Sanusi Lamido, said the idea of zero debt was incompatible with developmental ideas, explaining that Africa lacks the required fund to meet its infrastructural need. Sanusi pointed out that inasmuch as any country could take loans, the purpose of such borrowing should be clearly defined and targeted at solving a particular economic problem that would be beneficial to the people.
But the real problem is this. What are we borrowing to spend on? That 500 billion, the government will raise a bond. Abraham Wampo will come and issue a bond, raise money, and that money will go to pay a subsidy that is not going to the Nigerian people. What can we do? If that 500 billion goes into provision of power and the provision of infrastructure, and even what the chairman was talking about under Fadama, I have no problem with us borrowing money to teach farmers how to use high-yield varieties of seeds and improve agricultural productivity.
The central bank governor urged Nigerians to support the government in removing the cabals who feed fat on petroleum subsidy while Nigerians suffer.
The minister cannot manage your finances if we do not, as a political class and as a nation, stand up and say, this subsidy is going to a small cabal. This is what's called a cabal. It's a cabal.
Earlier, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Dimeji Bankole, who declared the occasion open, said the workshop became necessary following the renewed spate of borrowing by the federal and state governments.
Our experience has revealed to us that unhealthy and sometimes questionable penchant for foreign loans by virtually all tiers of government may be leading us to another albatross. The situation is made worse when these loans are deployed not for any productive nor sustainable use, but for projects that are simply not necessary.
Representatives from 18 states attended the workshop, including Ogun, Oyo, Abia, Akwa Ibom, among others. The Accountant General of Kwara State, Alhaji T.A. Abdul Karim, who represented her state, had this to say.
In our own particular case, we went to the capital market to raise a 17 billion naira bond for certain projects, some of which You can see they are visible. They are almost going to completion. We have the International Aviation College. We have the International Diagnostic Center and a lot more. And these things are things that will benefit the state. They will also generate revenue to sustain themselves into the nearest future.
As stakeholders at this workshop battle to make right the processes and procedures for obtaining foreign and local loans by federal and state governments, it is their hope that you and I will do all we can to ensure maximum value for money borrowed. Rachel Owa for NITV.
The periodic crisis in the city of Jos, Plateau State reared its ugly head again on Monday, the 7th of June, as commercial motorcyclists, popularly known in local parlance as Okada, tried to resist a recent government ban on their business activities. This led to a violent protest, leaving 2 policemen dead and many others injured. A part of the palace of the Gbong Gwom Jos, Buba Gyang, was also burnt down. It was gathered that policemen, officials of the National Security and Civil Defense Corps and Federal Road Safety Corps were assembled early on Monday at the headquarters of the Plateau State Police Command and instructed to enforce the law prohibiting the operations of the motorcyclists in Jos and Bukuru. Many motorcycles were also burnt in the violent protest, while security agents impounded more than 50 others. The national president of the Amalgamated Commercial Motorcycle Owners and Riders Association of Nigeria, Alhaji Babangida Meihula, faulted the action of the state government. He said it should have provided an alternative source of income for the operators before implementing the ban. Still fighting the unceasing war against corruption in the country, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has opened investigation into a $15 million transcontinental fraud case involving the payment of bribes by 2 international automobile firms, Daimler and Anamco, to Nigerian officials between 1998 and 2005 for the supply of vehicles, spare parts and tools. The EFCC's chairman, Mrs. Farida Waziri, made this known at a media party yesterday to mark her 2nd year in office. She said the latest case was based on a judgment in the US, which convicted some Nigerians and fined the German company $185 million for showering bribes to secure contracts. The EFCC has also sought the U.S. District Court's order through Mutual Legal Assistance Treaty, and operatives have quizzed 2 suspects, Igwe Geoffrey Onya and Nathaniel Adimaji. In another development linked to the embattled former governor of Delta State, Chief James Ibori, a court in London has sentenced 2 of his associates, Christine Ibori Ibie and Udamaka Onigbo, to 5 years in jail each. The court on Monday found Ibori Ibie, the only surviving sister of the former governor, guilty of 9 counts of money laundering, mortgage and wire fraud, while Onigbo was convicted for only money laundering. Both convicts were remanded in prison immediately the 12-man jury passed the guilty verdict. A third accused person, Mrs. Binkpe Pogoson, who was Ibori's personal assistant, was discharged and acquitted. And that's it on this edition of the news. Till next time, thanks for logging in.